Let's walk through the provisioning process to get up and running with Kinetica and Azure. I'm going to start with this Azure Marketplace listing for Kinetica pay-as-you-go. I'm going to hit create. First, choose the specific Azure subscription that I want to use for this deployment and the resource group. In this case, I'm going to create a new resource just for this deployment. Choose my target Azure region and an optional cluster name. I can rename here. Since this is a managed application, the underlying infrastructure is going to be contained in a managed resource group that's fully managed by Kinetica. That's the name indicated here. You can just leave that as the default. Then we choose the size and configuration of our Kinetica cluster. There are two options here. First is whether you want GPU acceleration on or off. In most cases, you can get started without GPU acceleration, but if you do have use cases that require high performance for interactive geovisualization, or you have complex queries for streaming analytics where you would benefit from the performance of the GPU, you can turn that on in that configuration and will then be used. The other option is the size of the cluster. So how many nodes do you want to provision? Depends on the data and the type of use cases you have. You can get started with the extra small size, which is a free Kinetica license, or you can deploy larger instances up to large in this pay-as-you-go instance. I'm going to choose extra small and hit next. Then we choose our admin username and credentials. And provide my contact information, first name and last name, and email address that we use purely for support purposes. Click next. And we can choose networking options. By default, you can just go with default networking configuration, in which case we'll lay down the network and the CIDR ranges that we need for running this cluster. But if you have intent to eventually peer this network with another network you have in Azure, and you want to make sure that those CIDR ranges don't overlap, you can click Advanced Network Configuration and then specify the exact configurations for those subnetworks if you'd like. I'm going to choose Default and hit Next. You can optionally tag any of these Azure resources with specific tags if you need to. Click Next. Currently, provisioning time is about an hour, hour and a half. We're working through some issues with Microsoft, and we hope to get this back down to about 30 minutes. Just so you know that currently it takes about an hour, and you will get notified once that's complete. Click Next. Review the terms and conditions, review the price of the cluster that I've specified. Again, this is an extra small, so it'll be free from a Kinetica license perspective. I'm going to agree to the terms, review my configuration settings, and hit Create. Again, that kicks off the provisioning process, and in about an hour, you get a notification that that's completed.